Despite his high IQ, this little boy doesn't get enough appreciation because he lives in an orphanage. However, he's determined to use science to find his real mother. On a dark night, a mysterious woman leaves her newborn at the doorstep of an orphanage. When the head named Mildred opens the door, she finds no other in sight beside the little baby. Mildred brought him up with love and named him Louis. He is a special child with a high IQ level. Louis loves inventing new devices. He may not have enough resources to show his talent, but that cannot stop him from keeping moving forward. Louis is currently working on his peanut butter and jelly spreading machine. Mildred interrupts him as a family has come to meet Louis. The little boy excitedly shows the couple his new invention. He explains that his device can spread just the perfect amount of peanut butter and jelly. When he tries to show it's working, the device malfunctions and blasts the fillings all over the room. The man there is allergic to peanuts and gets a severe reaction. His wife takes him away and tells Mildred that they are not going to adopt a maniac like Louis. Mildred doesn't want to break the kid's heart and tell him that the family wasn't lucky enough to taste Louis peanut butter sandwiches. However, Louis has enough of this treatment. It was the 124th family who rejected Louis. He will be turning 13 soon, and it's impossible for a teenager to get adopted. Louis blames his mother for leaving him behind, but Mildred says he shouldn't hate her. Maybe his mother wanted him, but she had no choice. Thinking this, Louis concludes that only his real mother is the person who actually wants him. He will find her. No one has seen her but Louis did as a baby. He decides to invent a memory scanning device to get his mother's picture and locate her. Louis spends days and nights in this attempt. He grabs random objects from the orphanage and his school to build his big invention. He even studies the working of the brain and witnesses brain surgeries to get the required knowledge. Weeks pass by, and a science fair is announced in school. Louis decides to present his scanning machine in the science fair. It's his chance to prove that not all of his inventions fail. Louis completes his project on the same day as the science fair, so he doesn't get a chance to test it, and rushes to the school. While he was setting up his machine, a weird-looking boy named Wilbur Robinson comes looking for him. He warns Louis to stay alert because a man called Bowler Hat Guy is after him. Suddenly, Wilbur notices a suspicious guy and pulls his cloak, but it turns out to be just another student. Meanwhile, the actual Bowler Hat Guy sends his robotic hat named Doris to mess with Louis's invention. Doris removes some screws and sneaks away. When the judges arrive at Louis's table with high hopes, the scanning machine malfunctions and ruins the whole science fair. Louis gives up and leaves the fair in frustration while the Bowler Hat Guy steals his machine. Louis is reconsidering his life choices while sitting on the roof. He feels useless and wants to spend the rest of his life locked in a room. But Wilbur comes after him again. He explains that he's actually from the future, 30 years ahead, and he used a time machine to come here. The bowler hat guy stole his latest time machine and traveled back to mess with Louis' invention. Therefore, Louis must go back to the fair to recover his scanning machine and Wilbur's time machine. Louis agrees to do that on one condition. Wilbur has to prove that he's from the future. Wilbur agrees and carries Louis in his time machine, which looks like a flying jet. Just in mere seconds, the boys travel 30 years ahead. Surprisingly, the world has developed drastically. The advancements in technology makes Louis's jaws drop. Wilbur asks if they can go back to the science fair now, but Louis has another demand. He wants to travel to the past and find his mother, but Wilbur refuses this deal. Louis tries to take control of the time machine, and it accidentally crashes down. Wilbur requests Louis to help him fix the machine, and in exchange, he'll help him find his mother. Meanwhile, Bowler Hat Guy takes the scanning machine to a big scientific organization. He planned to sell the machine patent, but fails to explain the working of the machine. As he's not the inventor, he gets thrown out of the company, but doesn't give up. His next plan is to find Louis. In the future, Wilbur takes Louis to his house's garage and introduces him to the assistant robot, Carl. Wilbur goes to bring the machine's blueprints, but Louis doesn't want to wait in the garage and gets in one of the tube elevators. It takes Louis to the garden where he meets Wilbur's grandpa, who offers to help Louis in getting back to the garage. However, he doesn't remember the right way either and keeps wandering around. On the other hand, Wilbur requests Carl to give him the blueprint so he can fix everything before his father returns from his business trip. Carl agrees, but he warns Wilbur that traveling frequently through time can bring serious consequences. Wilbur reunites with Louis, who has already met all of Wilbur's family members except his father. They all are quite weird, but friendly at the same time. Meanwhile, Bowler Hat Guy reaches the orphanage to find Louis, but only meets Louis' roommate Michael. He seems quite down because he didn't sleep for days because of Louis continuously working on his project. This also made him miss a catch and lose his baseball game. Bowler Hat Guy takes pity on the little boy and cheers him up. After advising him to keep working hard, the guy leaves and uses the time machine to get to the future. Lewis is working on the other time machine, but it's too complicated for him. But Wilbur keeps saying the same thing to him: keep moving forward. It's Wilbur's dad motto that made him keep moving towards his goal. He's the CEO of the world's leading scientific research and design factory, Robinson's Industries. He invented all the big technologies the current world is based on, including the time machine. Unfortunately, Wilbur accidentally left the garage gate open and the machine got stolen. He must bring it back before his father returns. His father is a really dedicated man. Sometimes it took him hundreds of attempts to finally perfect an invention, but he never gave up. Listening to all this, Lewis tries to fix the time machine and does the first test run. It ends up pretty badly. Lewis gives up, but Wilbur reminds him to keep moving forward. Suddenly, his mother calls them for dinner. The whole family eats together and has a great bond despite each of them having a weird habit. They also have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich maker, but it seems broken. Wilbur encourages Louis to fix, but he fails. But surprisingly, the Robinsons started celebrating it. They believe that you learn more from failure than from success. The Robinsons are definitely an ideal family for Louis. While they are having dinner, Bowler Hat Guy reaches outside the house and plans his next step. Doris has made a little clone of itself and gives its control to Bowler Hat Guy. He uses it to control one of Wilbur's mom's pet frogs. He orders the frog to bring Louis, but the little pet is unable to do that. Bowler Hat Guy looks around to find another subject and puts the mind-controlling hat on a dinosaur. It attacks the house and aims for Lewis, but the Robinsons don't leave the boy alone. They bring their robots and jets to fight the dinosaurs. The pizza guy covers the dinosaur in melting cheese, but the beast escapes again. He runs after Lewis, but can't grab him because of his small hands. Wilbur notices the robot hat on the dinosaur and knocks it off. Lewis is saved, but he is surprised how much care the Robinsons showed to him. He wished he had a family like them. On knowing that Lewis is an orphan, the Robinsons show their desire to adopt him. Lewis says yes immediately, but Wilbur reminds he's from the past. He must go back to his own time. In response, Lewis reminds Wilbur of the promise he made about finding his mother. Wilbur says he lied about it, and this makes Lewis really angry. He runs away and hides in a corner. There he meets Bowler Hat Guy, who offers to help in finding Lewis' mother if he tells him more about the scanning machine. Lewis agrees and explains the working of the machine, but he believes that it will also fail like his other inventions. He wonders why Bowler Hat Guy is so interested in it. The evil guy finally reveals his real identity. He's Michael, Lewis' roommate. During the science fair, Lewis' scanning machine proved to be a success. He got famous, got adopted into a good family, and built his own business. He's Wilbur's father and the CEO of Robinson's Industries. Meanwhile, Michael fell into depression after losing his baseball match. He became stressed and no family wanted to adopt him. The orphanage was closed and only Michael was left there. Then one day he realizes that Lewis is the reason for his miserable life. He wanted revenge and met Doris, who was also one of the inventions of Lewis. But it was a failure, so Lewis abandoned it. Together with Doris, Michael traveled back in time to ruin Louis' future and make his own. He ties up Louis, but Wilbur comes for his rescue. He begs Louis to try fixing the time machine, but Louis is still not confident of himself. Wilbur tells he's the only hope, and afterwards he disappears. The surroundings are changing too. It's because of Michael who changed the past. He claimed Louis' invention as his own, but Doris betrayed him. It was just using him to fulfill its own plan of cloning itself in a large scale and taking over the whole world. Now, all the humans in the future are under the control of Doris. To fix the future, Louis must mend his present. He gets in the time machine and gives his best shot to fix it. Luckily, it works and he travels back in time. Doris tries to attack him, but Louis takes the decision of not inventing it so it disappears from time. Afterward, he takes Michael to show what happened to the future because he trusted Doris. Michael realizes his mistake and gives up his evil deeds. The future recovers and Louis meets his adult self. He shows Lewis his lab and advises him to keep moving forward. Lewis gets ready to travel back in his time, but Wilbur wants to fulfill his promise. He takes Lewis to the past so he can see his real mother. Lewis was just inches away from knowing her, but he changed his mind. He has finally learned to let go of the past. He always wanted a family, but now he knows he's going to get it soon anyway. After saying goodbye to Wilbur, Lewis rushes to the science fair. But on his way, he stops by to help Michael in his game. Then he asks the judges for a second chance to exhibit his science project. One of the teachers bravely volunteers to see the memory of her wedding day. The scanning machine works, and Lewis gets admired by the whole school. He also realizes that Wilbur's grandparents were actually Lewis's teachers who were willing to adopt him, and his future wife is actually his weird school fellow. Lewis's adoptive parents arrange a big lab where he can design and create as many inventions as he wants. No matter how many times he'll fail, he's never going to give up. We shouldn't be looking backward for very long. We need to keep moving forward, opening new doors and doing new things because we all are curious and curiosity keeps leading us down new paths.